Hi, this is Kimberly Wyse, and today I am here to talk about learning how to be grateful in generosity and gracious in withdrawal. As a Christian, it is our job to learn how to have healthy relationships with others and how to be the hands and feet of Christ to those around us. And when I was younger, in probably my early 30s, I had a really difficult time understanding the difference between trying to be the hands and feet of Christ and actually thinking that I was Jesus and I could fix it. So, a very good friend of mine during that time went through a terrible crisis, and she was a good friend, so I rushed to her side to support her and be with her and help her. And I listened. I saw her emotionally sitting in a dark hole, and I decided to climb down in that hole and sit with her for a while. She thanked me for my friendship and then really surprised me by saying that some of her other close friends had chosen to withdraw instead of come to her aid. And I was horrified. I was like, they did what? What do you mean they're not here? And she said, it's okay. Some people just can't handle this kind of pain. It's very painful. She was not bitter or resentful towards them at all. She had released them from their responsibility to be with her during this time because she understood that not everybody could handle the kind of pain that she was in. What ended up happening was that I was not mature enough to know how to handle the crisis. And as it dragged on and on and on, I stayed down in that hole with her until I was emotionally exhausted and frustrated as well. I allowed it to consume my life, and then she went and made some questionable choices that were an effort to ease her pain, but I couldn't handle it. And because I wasn't Jesus, I disappointed her, and it damaged our friendship. Through that situation, and then a few others like it, I had to learn healthy boundaries and how to protect my heart when I was trying to help someone else through crisis. For me, I had waited many years to get married, and my Prince Charming finally came along, but we didn't exactly get our happy ever after. I immediately got pregnant and had a very rough pregnancy where I was sick, bedridden, and then did it all again, and we'd been married 2 years and we had 2 babies. I tried to make new friends, but depression due to all that sickness and loneliness had pretty much sucked me dry. As that started to ease up, the crisis, the craziness of 2 babies 15 months apart, we decided to have another one. And that third baby came with a surprise diagnosis of trisomy 21 or Down syndrome and a lot of medical issues related to his diagnosis. I had to put my mental health on the back burner for many years because of all of these things that we were going through. And I didn't have the time or energy to enter into anyone else's hole with them. And I hurt some of my loved ones. Some people are drawn to a crisis, and some people are repelled, which I learned firsthand after Redmond was born. People who had been in the periphery of my life rushed forward to help and were amazing. And then other people who, were someone I would consider a close friend actually withdrew and backed away from me during that time. Then I tried to figure out how to deal with these friends who had left. I felt a little guilty for not reaching out to them during my time of crisis, and then I remembered that what I was going through was without question something that made it their job to get in touch with me. With that realization came an initial reaction of hurt and betrayal after all I did for them. Then I remembered my friend's wisdom. When people are going through their own silent struggles, they cannot handle your crisis. Maybe they don't have the emotional capacity to handle my crisis, or maybe they have no idea what to say or do. 3 years into our situation, we've established a new normal, and I'm particularly grateful for the steadfast few who didn't change in any way, but were there when we needed them. They may have been awkward, they may have said weird things, but they kept coming back. My sister hit the pause button on her life, her family, her career, and climbed down into my hole and sat with me. She didn't try to fix it. She didn't try to cheer me up. She just stayed. And then she wisely said, "Okay, I think you've got this now," and climbed back out and returned to her own life. She never stopped checking on me, praying for us, calling, listening, and refusing to let me give up in despair. But she didn't stay in the hole with me. That was wisdom. If you're going through a crisis, look around for the helpers and be grateful for those who rush towards your suffering, and be gracious to those who stand back. You have enough on your plate without adding in and nurturing hurt and resentment and hostility towards those who can't handle what you're going through. Thank God for those He sends to help you. And this part's really hard, but make a decision to receive their help. Receive it. And release the others. We sometimes get so caught up in our expectations that these are the people who are supposed to help me, and when they don't, we can wallow in our hurt and miss those that God has sent to help us. And those people who are there to help us in our suffering are so important. They're gifts from God too. It does us no good to hold on to unforgiveness and resentment. If you have a friend who's going through a crisis and you can handle it, crawl down in that hole with them, sit beside them, refuse to try to cheer them up or try to solve it. Just sit with them for a while. And then when the worst of it is over, crawl back out and go back to your own life. Check on them, pray for them, be there for them, but not at the expense of your own mental health and stability. You aren't Jesus. Be His hands and feet, but don't confuse yourself with being their Savior. You will disappoint them if you try to fill that role. Now, I have written a book about our crisis and the miracles that we saw through it. It's called Looking Up When Life Looks Down: Shattered Dreams, Medical Miracles, and Restored Hope. And in it, I share how we learned how to deal with the fear, how we learned how to deal with the shock, how we learned how to deal with our new normal. And all of these things are really relevant to our world right now, whether you're a special needs parent or not. We are going through a crisis in our world today. And I have been told by others who've read it that it's been very helpful for them. So I would love it if you picked up a copy and let me know what you think. It's available in paperback from my website, KimberlyWyse.com. It's available in audiobook from audible.com and an ebook from amazon.com. Thank you. And hey, subscribe to this channel.